The bandsaw is designed to cut curved and irregular shapes, like the example shown. Ordinarily, it is not used for precise ripping or cross-cutting operations. As the name implies, the cutting blade of a bandsaw is a continuous band of metal tightly drawn over a pair of wheels. The blade travels up by the back column over the upper wheel and down around the lower wheel, causing the cutting force to be down on the table. Guards should cover both wheels and all parts of the blade except that part doing the cutting. Most bandsaws have tilting tables. To change the degree of tilt, loosen the two trunnion clamps and move the table to the desired angle. For most work, the table is set at 90 degrees to the blade. Be sure that all adjustments and locks are secure before turning on the power. In its travel between the two wheels, the blade must be supported by an upper and lower guide. As stock is being sawed, the guides help prevent the blade from twisting and from being pushed back out of line. The upper guide and guard assembly is one of the few adjustments generally required. To change the height of the upper assembly, loosen the lock on the back of the saw approximately 1/2 turn and raise or lower the assembly as necessary. Be certain that the blade is completely stopped before making this adjustment. This is the on-off switch. This saw is equipped with a brake. Turn off the power after using the bandsaw and apply moderate pressure on the brake until the blade completely stops. Only the operator should be in the operator safety zone. Obtain permission from the instructor before operating the saw. And wear your goggles for eye protection. The correct height of the upper guide should be slightly above the stock, but no more than 1/4 inch above the maximum thickness of stock to be cut. Plan sawing procedures so there will be a maximum forward feed with a minimum of backing out of cuts. At times, it may be necessary to make a cut well into the stock and then back out. Except for short, straight cuts, the blade must be stopped before backing out to prevent pulling it off the wheels. When stock requires 2 cuts, make the short cut first. Then the longer cut, and the piece will fall free as you complete the long cut. If the cut is short and straight, you may carefully and slowly back out of the cut with the saw running. Be extra cautious not to allow the stock to bind and pull the blade off the wheel. When possible, cut out through waste stock rather than backing out. Hold stock firmly and feed it into the blade at a moderate rate of speed. Stock must lie flat on the table so it does not rock or wobble as it is being cut. If small curves are desired, we must first make many relief cuts to within 1/32 of an inch of the layout line. A 3/4 inch radius is the smallest arc that can be sawed with a 1/4 inch blade, and a 1/2 inch blade can cut as small as 1 1/4 inches radius without relief cuts. As we cut to the layout line, the small pieces fall away rather than bind on the blade. Do not allow the saw blade to twist or bind while cutting curves. Keep waste from accumulating on the saw table. Clean off scraps with a piece of wood or a brush after the blade stops. Do not use your hands or fingers. Check your layout before cutting. Try to visualize what will be happening. Sometimes you will find that you have the layout on the wrong face of the stock, and the stock would hit the column of the saw as it is being cut. It may even make a difference which end of the cut is started first. Keep all fingers at least 3 inches from the saw blade. Do not saw across cylindrical stock like this without a special holding device. Since the direction of force of the blade is downward on the table, the cylinder would tend to twist into the blade. This often causes the blade to be broken. Many holdings and homemade equipment may be made and utilized on the bandsaw. A V-block is often used as a special holding device. It is commonly used to saw a shallow X curve in the ends of a piece to be turned between centers on the lathe, or it may be used to rip or split cylindrical pieces. Keep fingers away from the blade as we feed the last part through it. It is advisable to push the end with a piece of scrap stock. Some type of circle cutting jig is usually available, so accurate circles may be easily sawed. They work on the principle of a pivot point that may be adjusted to the radii desired. This circle jig has the pivot point above the stock. Many jigs have the pivot point below the stock. All special setups should be checked by the instructor before turning on the power. To resaw reasonably narrow stock or cut it edge to edge, we may use the rip fence. It is always advisable to have your scrap push piece handy before you start to saw. One of the best ways to resaw wide stock is to use a special pivot stand. The widest blade available should be installed for this operation. The normal cutting position for right-hand operators is to face the blade and stand slightly to the left of it. Guide with the left hand and apply forward pressure with the right. Since there is no danger of a kickback on the bandsaw, the operator may even safely align part of his body with the blade. A helper should assist the operator when cutting long, heavy, or awkward pieces. The helper merely supports the stock. He does not pull or guide it. Tilt the table to the angle desired for cutting a bevel and lock it securely. A fence may be used, or you may follow a layout line cutting freehand. If the blade happens to break, step away immediately and shut off the power if possible without endangering yourself. Then notify the instructor and keep others away until both wheels have completely stopped. Not allow the upper or lower guard doors to be opened. The features of being able to cut freehand and to cut irregular shapes without danger of a kickback make the bandsaw one of our safest heavy-duty woodworking power tools.